If you watch my videos, you know how important a healthy diet is to the effectiveness of your stress management efforts. And today I want to talk to you a little bit more about a healthy diet because we are inundated on a daily basis with all kinds of ideas through advertisements, through packaging, through so many things around us telling us what healthy eating is, but so many times what we're being told is completely false. The purpose of advertising, after all, is to sell things. In this case, for the purpose of this discussion, it would be to sell things for us to eat. And just because the advertisement is suggesting, implying, or flat out saying that something is healthy doesn't mean that it is. And just because packaging is attractive doesn't mean that the food is a healthy choice. So I want to encourage you to think of a healthy diet in terms of food versus food products. What's the difference? Well, real food has one ingredient and usually has no label listing a list of ingredients, whereas food products have multiple ingredients and have some kind of a label where they have to, by law, tell you what makes up that food product. So that's a really easy way to tell the difference between food versus food product. And a healthy diet should focus as much as possible on eating food and eating as little as possible of food products. So taking that a step further, when you look at food products and you look at the labels, the fewer the number of ingredients, chances are the better off you are in terms of your selection. So the fewer the ingredients that make up a food product, the better, generally speaking. The less processed the food, the better, generally speaking. If there has to be multiple things that happen to a product before it can be consumed as food, as a food product, if multiple things have to be done to it before it's sold to you as a food product, well, that takes it further away from it fitting into that nice category of simply food. So a healthy diet is one that focuses on whole foods, real food, foods that don't require a label, foods that have one ingredient, foods that are not overly processed. Does that mean your entire diet will consist of those things? Of course not. We all eat things that have a number of ingredients as part of them, so we all eat food products in addition to eating plain, simple, pure, honest food. So when you do eat food products, number one, try to minimize how much of food products you eat as compared to simply food. Those things that have one ingredient, those things that are clean, those things that come from nature. And when you eat processed foods, focus on things that are as least processed, as little processed as possible, as opposed to those things that are really unrecognizable in terms of food. A lot of the snack foods that are being sold, if you look at them, they have such a long list of ingredients. And if you were a visitor from another planet, if you were an alien that lands on Earth, if you were to look at some of these packaged things, you wouldn't know that they're to be consumed because it's in the box and it doesn't look like food. Assuming you had some understanding or some notion of what food is, things that come from nature, as compared to these packaged processed foods, it might be difficult to guess that these are supposed to be ingested. So that's kind of a funny way of looking at it. But think of it. Think of what is real food. If it was grown, meaning Mother Nature grew it, whether it was in the tree, it came out of the ground, it grew out of the ground, then it's a food to start with, unless terrible things were done to it, of course. If you are someone who eats animal products, if it was an animal that is prepared for you to eat, then that came from nature. But if it's something that's heavily processed, something that has a long list of ingredients, that should be minimized on your diet. That's what we're talking about when we talk about a healthy diet. So, assuming you're interested in a healthy diet, that is my advice to you today, because again, we are so inundated and absolutely bombarded with ideas and advertisements and suggestions and declarations of what healthy is that it can be confusing. But it really doesn't have to be that confusing. It can really be much, much simpler. Focus on your diet on food rather than food products. When you talk about ingredients, if you have to choose food products at some point, because I think most people do, focus on the least number of ingredients, products that have the least number of ingredients, and products that are as unprocessed or as little processed as possible, as opposed to those products that are heavily processed. It can really be that simple. Are you going to make the right choices 100% of the time? Probably not, but that's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just make your daily focus of food choices to be as much as possible focused on real food, those things that have one ingredient, things that are very little processed, and then you'll be okay. Because remember, you are what you eat. We all are what we eat. So when the building blocks of who we are physically are high quality, then the end product, the resulting product, which is our body, this vessel in which we travel, is also high quality. And that's what you need to be as effective as possible in managing the stress in your life. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the link below.